Good morning, everybody, and hope everybody had a great Christmas holiday. And we're off to New Year's this week, Hank. Merry
The Raiders helped me to an 8-2 week.
Oh man, that's unbelievable. That's great, Hank. Great job.
So, I'll tell you something. Denver, I had confidence that they wouldn't play well, and they did. And the Raiders played a good game. He's got them playing decent ball. Got a lot of good young players there, and if he has a good draft, who knows what the future holds for that team. His quarterback he played a nice game, and hopefully they'll find a place. I'd like to see him stay in Oakland for another year. I think the city of Oakland, the fans deserve him anyway.
Yeah, it's been. They tear these teams away from these cities. It's rough on the city, but it's a business. These owners have to do what they got to do. And we saw it with St. Louis moving to L.A. and we've seen it before. We've seen Oakland move to L.A. and then back to Oakland. It happens. It's a nasty thing, but it's all about money.
Yesterday I watched a lot of NBA. And, I guess the big news is that, Golden State got beat by the Lakers, but LeBron got hurt in the game, and he's getting an MRI today.
Yeah,
he may miss some playing time.
I think he will. And the Lakers will just have to learn to play without him, which might make them a little stronger in the long run when he does return. That happens.
But Golden State really looked bad. They weren't shooting well. They didn't play well on defense. They didn't show up, and they've had too many games like that. And I got to tell you, a team that really looks good to me, who I watched late last night, was Utah. They've got a nice club, and they're well coached, and they blew out Portland. And they're a hot team right now, and they could be a factor later on in the year.
Well, they were good last year as well, represented, but nobody, of course, can handle the Warriors, and that's been the problem. But Steve Kerr has got a different attitude than he had a few years ago when he went for the record in the regular season. And that's the year they lost to Cleveland in the final. Their attitude now is different. They rest players. They're not as intense. They don't really care how many games they win. They just want to get to the playoffs. And that's kind of the attitude in the NBA these days. And so it's making these regular season games a little bit like preseason football. You don't know when they're going to show up, and that they obviously.
Well, some of those games yesterday, they played like it was a playoff game. The Celtics and Philadelphia was that kind of a game. The Celtics came through. That was a heck of a game to watch.
There was. Yeah, when they show up to play, I mean, they're the best athletes in the world, and when they show up, it's great. That's why I love the playoffs, because you're going to get that intensity. It's really awesome. We'll get some football games today. We've got a full card.
By the way, before we get off basketball, I just want to give you a team to watch when the tournament comes around. Bucknell. Yeah. They crushed UNLV yesterday, and they played ECU tough. They're a nice team.
Yeah.
And, they came into that small tournament Hawaii undefeated. They're for real.
Yeah, they are a very good team, and as a sleeper team. It's nice when you get some of these sleeper teams. Now, you talk about sleeper teams, and this is a serious question. I got to ask you because you know more than most people about pro football. Do we really have a dominant team out there in pro football, or are these all like A- or B+ teams that are going into the playoffs this year?
I don't think there's a dominant team, but I think there are teams that I think there are two levels of teams. There's the haves and the have-nots, but there's a lot of balance among the top-tier teams. With the Seattle Kansas City game, a lot of people say that Russell Wilson really outplayed Mahomes. That's not so. Mahomes' numbers were as good as Russell Wilson. The difference was that Russell Wilson had a running game to go with his passing game, and Kansas City's defense was no good. So that was a difference in that game. But Mahomes' numbers were, hey, he went into Seattle and threw 3 touchdown passes and almost brought his team back, but his defense didn't hold up. And a lot of that had to do with Russell Wilson. But now Kansas City just has to win against Oakland. They're going to be a top seed. But, Philadelphia right now has a chance, to make it in. And they're playing Washington. And they're giving the touchdown to Washington. I think Washington's got a shot in that game. Philadelphia shouldn't be a 7-point favorite over anybody. But all of a sudden, because, they came from off the deck last week, and, on a last-second field goal, they won. Otherwise, they'd be out of it right now.
Yeah, they do overvalue these clubs. I mean, look at your Minnesota and Chicago game. I mean, obviously Minnesota needs it to get into the playoffs, and Chicago's already in. But these inflated numbers, now the handicapper, the sports bettor, has to make the choice. Are these teams that are already in going to show up and play to their fullest ability, or are they going to lay down and rest players? And this is the dilemma.
Chicago has a chance to finish as the number 2 seed, and they moved that game to a later start. So Chicago, if the Rams stumble against San Francisco, Chicago can get a week off in the playoffs. They can get a bye. So they're going to show up to play. Now, if it looks like the Rams are blowing out San Francisco, and they get into the second half, and it looks like their postseason is decided, he may pull, a lot of his players in the second half. But they're going to show up in the first half against Minnesota because they, like I said, they have a chance to be a number 2 seed if they beat Minnesota.
I would have given San Francisco a reasonable shot in the game, even though they're very outmanned. But then when they put Pettis and Breida on the IR, and they're not. I mean, they're really shorthanded now against the Rams, and that's a tough spot now with a shorthanded team that was inferior to begin with.
Well, and the Rams picked up Anderson last week, and he ran for 160 yards. Granted, it was against Arizona. Now we'll see what he does this week, because I don't think Gurley is going to play for them again.
No, I would expect they wouldn't play him. I mean, they need to rest him and make him, full strength going into the playoffs.
But if the Vikings lose, the Eagles can get a playoff berth with a win.
That's correct.
If the Vikings win, the Eagles are out.
That's right.
So, Baltimore needs to win. Otherwise, Pittsburgh has a chance to get back in the mix. And they're playing against Cleveland. Mayfield's going again. They're going to show up to play. This is Mayfield against a premier defense. So, that's another contender that has to play. And Indianapolis and Tennessee, of course, that's a win-in-you're-in situation. So, actually, every team that's a contender at this point has to play to win on Sunday.
It's going to be a hell of a day, I'll tell you. I mean, it's not every week 17 comes down to this, but there's a lot of very interesting battles out there for this week. And we're digging through the paperwork and the stats and motivations right now, and we're working on coming up with those winners. And there's some players that are key players that did not have a great year that are going to want to go out with the flash because they don't want to have that bad taste in their mouth until next football season.
Atlanta's a team like that. Atlanta's won 2 straight now, and they're playing at Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay is kind of a turnover machine. And Matty Ice has had a couple of good games in a row, but I think Atlanta would like to go out with a 3-game winning streak. That's a team that's been a disappointment that would like to finish strong.
You're probably right. I know you're busy today, Hank, and I apologize for being a little bit late, but I probably ate a little too much over the weekend and got a late start. But everybody out there, hope you had a great Christmas. And Hank is red hot, 8-2. I'm 19 out of 24 in my last 24 NFL games. Pro basketball's back on the card today. College is coming next, and we're going to have a nice run between now and New Year's, and then of course post New Year's we're going to be getting into college basketball conference games, which are always very profitable. So Hank, you have a great day today. Thank you everybody out there.
Yeah, Saturday's a big college football day. You got the semifinals. Absolutely. We'll be back here Friday to talk about the weekend. But Hank, you got some horses coming up this weekend too. Yeah, Santa Anita has 4 Grade 1 stakes races on their opening weekend. Actually, today is opening day, and they've got a good card. But Saturday, we'll be taking a look at those races, and those are winning your in races for the Breeders' Cup. So this is big day racing this early in the year.
Absolutely. It's an awesome week. It's going to be a big week, and I look forward to the weekend. And every day this week we've got some action. Everybody, JimFeist.com for Hank's plays and mine. Thank you, Hank. I appreciate it, and have a good day.
Okay.